Hello everyone, welcome to Learning Forward. First, to wish all my listeners a very happy 2021. Aren't you glad that you have the 21st year of the century? I'm sure it brings in happiness and more energy for you. This is a very special show for me. Yes, it is my 100th show in my life, which I have choreographed, recorded, designed, done everything single-handedly. Thank you for all your good wishes. And even more, this is episode number 58 of I Am Passionate About Education. Every week, I've been traveling across the world virtually to meet people who feel that for them, education is a never-ending journey. And today I have with me an entrepreneur, a writer, a podcaster, what more? I would even call him my guru, who taught me, who brought me into podcasting. Yes, he's a storyteller. His heart speaks, rather warm-hearted. I couldn't find anyone else better than him to start my new year with. Because when I meet him, it gladdens my heart. As a storyteller, he will touch you with heart and soul. This special person also does the Jaipur Literature Festival podcast, Jaipur Bytes. He has several stories and recordings of romantic novels and has been a storyteller virtually all his life. Runs podcasts I've lost count of. He is also a teacher. So that's more of a reason why I thought, let me try and decode him and his passion for education. A teacher, a storyteller, founder of Launchora. Welcome to my show, my friend, Lakshya Datta.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the word guru you used there. It's very funny because we're talking about education. For you to call me that, because you are someone I definitely look up to. Thank you.
Lakshya, there's a guru in each one of us. There's a shishya in each one of us. And that's what we call circle time. That's what we call learning with peers. And that's exactly what flip learning is, the Western way of talking about it. And the Indian way of guru and chela. Guru and chela transcend age, they transcend culture, they transcend barriers. I only have one quest which I am on. I'm trying to meet people and trying to find out why are they passionate about education? And there's no one better than ask this question with your profile and with what you're doing. And even more because you are an educator. Why are you so passionate about education? Why is education be all and end all for you?
It has to stem from the idea of curiosity. I truly, believe, and I'm sure it's not a new thought, that human beings are a unique species because we have the concept of thought. Whatever created us made us a thinking species that is always curious. So for me, education is the food for our curious appetites. It's something we use to not only learn about where we come from and who we are, what we're made of, but an amazing aspect of a curious mind is we have the ability to project what might happen. And I believe that really truly makes us unique as a civilization, because if we weren't capable of projecting thought and thinking forward, and to plug your show's name, Learning Forward, we wouldn't have reached this far as a civilization. So for me, education is probably one of the main founding pillars of our ability to take our civilization forward, because without it we would be stuck in the same loop again and again. And I think for me it's like in a much deeper way, I consider education to be the foundation for curiosity.
Please stay with us. We will be back after a quick commercial break. That's interesting. You are starting my new year with a thought which you say we can maybe evangelize, or we can even say what might happen. So when a new year comes and when I speak to an educationist, who is sensitive to curiosity and thought, how do you think this year will unfold?
I mean, if we were to take, the way, so I also have this finance background that I used to be work in investment banking, and I would advise people on how to make money and run their business and buy businesses. And one thing that the finance education teaches you, and it's something I also taught, I taught people how to value companies. It teaches you to look at the history to project the future. But one funny aspect of learning finance is that everyone tells you that the financial markets are the greatest indicator of how that isn't a good idea, of how the past can never really ever prepare you for the future. So when I think of 2021, I can only use 2020 as an example of how it is fully unpredictable. I'm 31 right now, and up until 2019, everything almost always went within the margin of error in terms of possibilities. I've been in my career right now for about 6 years, running Launchora and being a writer and a podcaster. But it wasn't until 2020 that I had to take a deep look into what did I want to achieve with that career. And when everything had to shut down and everything was, completely changed, I had one of the biggest successes of my career, which is a show that I made fully in lockdown. And that just taught me that whenever I project the future, it has to be stemming from the concept of hope, but not desires. Because I think desires is what affects our projected thinking. That, I can say I hope this happens, but I can't say that I want this to happen. Because that would then either disappoint me or overwhelm me with whichever result ends up happening. So when I think of, 2021 and the year that we have to look forward to, I only enter it with the concept, with the belief of hope. And Ummeed is, one of my shows is called Ummeed Factory, and that's what I try to build. But I want to reduce my ability to think of wants and desires. And I'm susceptible to that thought, of course, like anyone. But I do want to replace that word with hope now.
Thank you for the hope. But, an off the cuff challenge at you. You have been producing a love story and you're talking of no desire. How is that?
That's true. So my audience, and as with my platform, as with the creative teaching that I've endeavored in, it's always the age group of 13 to 25. That's my core audience. So for me, whenever I make a story, I always ask people that, people are like, oh, you write love stories. And I was like, what other stories are there to write about? Because unless you're writing about hate, which people rarely do, because no storyteller wants to write about hate, you're telling a love story. So especially when you bring into the that fold my audience, which is that young demographic, I use the idea of love to talk about hope, to talk about our experiences, to talk about the ability of human beings to connect with each other, to want to connect with another. But deep down, I always break down my characters to be about they want something, they never get it. But when they start hoping for goodness, when they start hoping for good ideas and good thought and good people in their lives, that's when they start achieving those goals. So I can't tell people not to think about desires, because we are made up of these thoughts. But I try to replace it with the idea of hope. And then with hope comes the ability to have goals. And in a way, goals becomes a more positive word for desire, I hope, my name is Laksh, so having a purpose and having goals is part of my identity. So, but I try to make it the concept of like, this is something I want to achieve rather than this is something that I deserve to achieve.
Thank you, Laksh, for sharing your identity. I'm sure we've uncovered something new in your passion for teaching, learning, and with all hope and humility taking things ahead. Have a wonderful year, a great life, and keep telling us stories.